public. And Jesus has a conversation with the Samaritan woman by the well. Jesus touches a leper. Jesus crossed boundaries. Translated today, Jesus is in the inner city with people who are struggling. Translated today, Jesus is in the prison. Jesus is on death row. Jesus is with gay and lesbian people who are trying to work out their dignity as human beings. Crossing the boundaries. And I got it. I got it that I couldn't stay removed from poor people in my own city. And so I moved into St. Thomas, and that's when the other part of my spiritual journey began. We, the only Western industrialized country in the world that has kept the death penalty. 168 countries in the world have abolished it over the last 40 years. The people abolishing it started with 14 countries not having the death penalty. Now, their movement across the world is to abolish state killing. Why? And what is it with us? Why are we saying, oh, no, no, no. We got to let our government allow to have the power that some people need to be killed for their crimes. And we are going to set up a court system, and we're going to set up a way to get these murderers that have done these terrible crimes. And now let's come into our own hearts. Everybody struggles with the death penalty. Everybody. Because when we hear of the death of innocent people, with me, when I visit that first man, Patrick Saunier, on death row, and then I found out about the crime, that he and his brother had taken 2 teenage kids. On a Friday night in November, they had gone to a homecoming football game, and they're out by an abandoned sugarcane field near a little town in St. Martinville, and it's dark and nobody's around but these 2 brothers, and they have 22 rifles, and they're rabbit hunting, and they had done this with other teenage kids. This was kind of local lover's lane, a place to go and park. And they come up to the car, and they say, hey, you kids are trespassing. They lied. They made like they were the security guards for people. And they say, we'll have to take you to the owner. And the kids are scared, and it's dark, and the men have guns. And 5 teenage couples came forth when these teenage couple, Loretta Bourque and David LeBlanc, were killed, and said they did that to us. And they'd say, well, look, we're going to have to report you to the owners. And then they'd say, well, look, tell you what, if the girl has sex with us, we won't. We won't bring you to the owners. That had happened to 5 teenage couples. And they didn't say anything because they were scared. And this night, these 2 precious human beings, just a little younger than you, their bodies were found lying face down near the sugarcane field, and they were shot in the back of the head, and Loretta Bourque had been raped. What do we do when we hear of such outrageous violation of human life? We all experience the outrage. And I want to say that outrage in the face of such terrible violence done to human beings is legitimate and it is moral. And if we don't feel outrage, it means we're going numb. Are we getting calloused? Or we see so much violence, it's just another blip on the screen, another person being killed. Of course we're outraged, and we want to feel the outrage when innocent human life is taken away. But what do we do with the outrage? And here we go. The call of Jesus and the Christian message and the policy of the United States of America to solve social problems with violence. It is our history. We've been trying to settle social problems with violence since the founding of this country. We killed and enslaved. I go to a Northern Cheyenne reservation in the summer and live among Indian people. And here was the cavalry coming, tearing down their sweat lodges. And also the Christian church participating. And you people are pagans. You can't pray that way. You got to pray our way. You got to pray to our God. I mean, you believe the sun is holy. You believe the earth is holy. You can't believe that. That's paganism. As if God isn't manifest in our earth and in the plants and in the sun and in the way the universe works. All of it is revelatory of God. One of the saints in the Catholic Church, St. Thomas Aquinas, said there are two books of Revelation. One is the Scriptures, and the other is earth, nature. The lightning metaphor becomes a symbol for God and the way we meet God. But then our policy is, got a war, got people who attack you, attack them. You got criminals who do terrible, terrible crimes, kill them. Select the worst, kill them. Throw the net out. Get Timothy McVeigh. He killed 168 people in the bombing. Get him, before him, get Ted Bundy. He murdered 14 young women. Kill him. And then finally it comes down to, well, you kill one person, but you kill one person. And then we fall into this thing of that we're the ones who have to get to the truth. We have to set up the courts. We have to decide who we're going to kill. Indiana kills people. You have a death row and you kill people. And we belong to a democracy. So it's us. Every time there's a killing, it's done in our name. The struggle in our hearts, on the one hand, is the outrage about terrible crimes, and on the other hand, here is the call of Jesus, loud and clear. We sing in our songs about God's mercy, loud and clear. You have heard it said, an eye for an eye, but I say to you, love your enemy, pray for those who persecute you, do good to those who hurt you. Can we live that? Can we live that? Our culture, which is a violent culture that solves problems in another way, calls this weakness. I meet the victims' families. Loretta Bork's mom and daddy. David LeBlanc's mom and daddy. David's mother and father, Lloyd and Eula LeBlanc, taught me about the gospel of Jesus and about forgiveness. They had lost their only son. When David was killed, their family name ended there. They were thrown into the fire of loss and violence, every parent's worst nightmare. Your kids go out on a Friday night to a football game, and they don't come home. And the knock at the door the next morning, the sheriff's deputy, Mr. LeBlanc, you better come with us to the morgue. We think we have your son. We need you to identify the body. Plunged into this grief and this loss, everything tested. When I did visit their home, there was the Good Shepherd on the wall. I heard one woman say in our victim support group, I took my kids to church every week, prayed for God to protect my kids. Shirley Carr's her name. She lost 2 sons within 6 months of each other, both violently shot and killed. Law was the first to teach me the gospel of Jesus and what it means to forgive. He said, look, sister, don't get me wrong, I'm human. He said, boy, that outrage, that bitterness, that anger, that hate was all in me. If I could have gotten my hands around the necks of those 2 people that killed our child. But then he thought, he said, wait, Jesus said to forgive. But he said, and here's how I see it. I've always been a loving man. I've always been a kind man. And if I let that hate take over me, they were going to kill me too. And they had killed our son, but I wasn't going to let them kill me. I'm going to do what Jesus said to do. And he set his face on the road of forgiveness, and the lightning came down of the little electrical current in the heart of Lloyd LeBlanc, and God's grace took over him, and he took a stance. Every day he had to work for it. Forgiveness is not something you do once and it's over. Every day renew that commitment to be a person of love and to follow the way of Jesus and not let the hatred overcome him.